What's going, YouTube? What's going, YouTube? We're back here with another video. Disciples, welcome back. And to my fellow children of our Father, God, welcome if this is your first time. Today we'll be reacting to the hunt for El Chapo. Now, back when I was in the world, I've heard this name before. I don't know nothing about him. I've heard this name before a couple of times, thrown here and there. But hey, we're here. We're reacting. And let's get into it. If you haven't already, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you go to Jesus. He's the only way. Romans 10:9 says that if you believe in your heart that Jesus was raised from the dead, that if you confess with your mouth that Jesus Christ is Lord, you will be saved. It's easy. There's nothing hard about it. After that, all you have to do is live a life for Christ, and you will make it to heaven. Let's get into the video.
This is the most heavily guarded prison in Mexico. Tall mesh fences, huge watchtowers. The area is a no-fly zone. This prison...
Bro, like a couple of days ago, bro, I heard that some of them, like some prisons / jails, only having like 3 people there. 3 officers. Meaning that you have one that's watching over the gate, one that's in over like the ones that are like safely guarded with extra care, and then one other one. Meaning that at least about a good 15 to 20% of the jail or prison is unwatched.
Prison is considered to be unescapable. Yet today, someone will escape. This someone happens to be the world's most powerful drug lord, El Chapo. He won't use any violence, nor will he climb over the fence. All he will do is walk into his shower and disappear. This is the story of how El Chapo became one of the most successful drug dealers in the history of mankind, how he was hunted by authorities for decades, and how he escaped them over and over again. And it's the story of how an interview with a Hollywood actor and a failing car engine finally brought him down.
Guys, whatever you do, man, y'all whine, all y'all want to be, put the guns down, pick up your Bible, man. Exodus 14:14, man. I'm telling you, twin, God got you. You don't need no gun. And since we're talking about drugs, you don't need drugs. God got you. Like, come on, man. The word says to keep a sober mind. It's not saying. Let me get one thing straight, because a lot of Christians say this for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why, and it's cap. In the word, it never says that you can't drink and that you can't smoke. In the word, it just says to keep a sober mind. So therefore, if you are drinking or smoking and know good and well that anytime you drink or smoke, you either become drunk or you become high, get rid of it. Because a lot of y'all be idolizing the bottles. A lot of y'all be idolizing weed. I'm talking about y'all wake up first in the morning. Let's do it. You feel what I'm saying? Instead of going in prayer. Instead of going in your word. A lot of y'all just be right on the wake. You feel what I'm saying? Before work, after work, before you go to sleep. Like, some of y'all really be idolizing this stuff and don't even realize it. Maybe if y'all treated God as much as If y'all gave God as much time as you gave in that bottle or in that wood, maybe the world would be a better place. But no, y'all get so consumed with it. Y'all let the devil talk to y'all. And I'm not talking about some, because some people be needing it. Now, that's a different story. But even with y'all, God got y'all. Cast your worries and your anxieties on Him, and He will kick them out your way. I promise you, I am living, breathing proof of it. The person watching this video, you are breathing, living proof that God is real. You are living, breathing proof that God can and will save you. You are living, breathing proof that God shows up when you just simply ask Him to be there. Come on, man. For the ones that don't have nothing to deal with, it just sitting there rolling up. Like, come on, man. Lock in. Because then you may say, "Oh, I'll lock in later." But then there might not be a later, because you could be rolling, you could be smoking, trying to get high. Jesus come right down. What you gonna do then? For the ones that drink, you could be in the club, woo, getting drunk. Jesus come right down. What you gonna do then? Come on, man. Lock in. 1957. Woof.
Joaquin Archivado Guzman Loera
You shouldn't have to pay expensive out-of-pocket costs for therapy. Through Rula, you can find a
was born on April 4th, 1957, in a poor family in a poor neighborhood, the village La Tuna in Mexico's Sierra Madre Mountains. Boys here don't grow up wishing to be astronauts, firefighters, or doctors. They want to become drug traffickers. It's a way to make money, and money is a way out. People will call Guzman El Chapo because of his height. He doesn't grow taller than 1.67 meters. El
He's
Chapo
5'6".
drops out of school early. He doesn't even finish elementary school. Instead, he's
He did even finish elementary school, bro. Bro, if you're gonna drop out, at least get to about the 7th grade. At least. First through 6 is your easiest years. First through 6, you don't do nothing. First through 5th, you just be learning freaking addition, subtraction. You don't really learn multiplication and division until maybe late 5th grade and all throughout 6th grade. Like, you don't do nothing. Like, it's first 6 years is easy.
He spends his time working on the marijuana and poppy fields, a family tradition. From a young age, El Chapo is extremely ambitious. He makes friends with big names in the local drug scene, determined to rise through the ranks of Mexican organized crime. First, he becomes a so-called problem solver. Whenever a truckload of drug shipment misses schedule, El Chapo eliminates the person responsible. His uncompromising attitude makes him trustworthy, and he grows close to the kingpin of the Guadalajara cartel. When the boss is arrested, El Chapo keeps the business running, ultimately setting up his own organization.
Honestly, for those of y'all that want to have guns, that are in love with being, YNs, that are in love with being, what I'm saying, in love with drugs and all that, why? Like genuinely, why? Like, I'm not even trying to be funny no more. Like, why, twin? Like, I'm not even trying, like, bro. Like, it just doesn't make sense. When you can be a YD, a young disciple, or a YC, a young Christian, but instead you're choosing the devil way. Why? Like, and it's crazy because I remember this quote I read. Like, after this, I'm playing a video. I believe it said something like, "Sin is easy until you try to fight it. until you try not to do it. Sin feels like the most. That's the thing. That's how the devil gets y'all. The devil gets y'all because that sin that you live in, it feels like, oh, it's normal. Like lust. Lust is normalized throughout the world. So if you know what I'm saying, hitting this girl, hitting that girl, all before marriage, you're gonna feel like, okay, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. And I said this in my preaching. If you haven't watched that video, go watch that video. When you feel no conviction in your heart, when you feel no sorrow in your heart, sorrowful in your heart, when you feel nothing in your heart after committing a sin, you're wrong. You're in a bad place. You're in a bad place. And don't even know it.
With other traffickers, the Sinaloa cartel. He organizes planes, trucks, and rail cars to deliver cocaine and heroin into the United States, and he even builds border-crossing tunnels, a skill that will come in handy many years later. In those early years, one incident really puts El Chapo on the map. This is Juan Jesus Posadas. He's the Archbishop of Guadalajara and a cardinal, one of the highest ranks in the church. Posadas is a popular man. He advocates for the poor and publicly condemns drug trade.
Amen.
Right now, he's on his way to the airport to meet an ambassador of the Vatican.
W man.
At the same time, El Chapo and his bodyguards pull into the parking lot. They are here to catch a flight to the beach resort town of Puerto Vallarta, one of El Chapo's favorite places to party. We don't know exactly what happened in this parking lot next. One thing we know for sure, though, the cardinal will not survive.
Really?
This is the official version. These brothers run a drug trafficking operation out of Tijuana. They are at war with El Chapo and his cartel. They fight over drug-running territory, and somehow they get wind that El Chapo is going to be at the airport that day. So one of the brothers and a group of gunmen rush there to ambush him. When they spot him and his bodyguards, they step out of their cars and open fire. El Chapo and his men run toward the terminal building, taking cover behind cars in the lot. It's raining bullets, but somehow they manage to escape without getting hit. The failed assassination leaves 7 people dead, among them the cardinal.
Wow.
This is the version of events that authorities will publicly report. Posadas was caught in the crossfire. Wrong time, wrong place. But there are doubts about this story. His death doesn't appear like a coincidence. Forensic experts will later say it's likely that the gunman killed the cardinal deliberately. He was shot 14 times from close range.
14 times?
Later, the officials
Close
suggest that the
range?
gunman had mistaken the cars. El Chapo regularly drives a white Mercury Grand Marquis, the same model Posadas sat in that day. The gunman thought it's El Chapo's car and opened fire.
Wix. One platform. Any website. Unlimited creation.
But the cardinal wore his robe when he was shot. He was not dressed at all like a drug lord. If the gunman killed him at a close range, how could they have confused him with El Chapo? Years later, the successor of Posadas will make a serious accusation. He claims the murder of the cardinal was a crime of the state.
Se trató de un crimen de Estado, perpetrado por la Policía Judicial Federal, es decir, por la
It is by the police of
He believes the police carried out the killing for the Mexican government. Posadas had accused government officials of having ties to these cartels. Up to this day, it remains a mystery. What really happened in 1993 at Guadalajara Airport? This is El
2014.
Chapo's wife, his sons, and one of his closest partners. Just 2 months ago, El Chapo was captured and brought to Altiplano Maximum Security Prison.
Bro, back in 2014, I know this doesn't have to do nothing with the video, but bro, I was a hooper, bro. Like, I was literally like a Steph Curry. Bro. That year, my Carolina Panthers made the Super Bowl, bro. What a time it was to be alive.
Now the group is working on a plan to get him out.
I was back
They
when we didn't have to
begin by
worry about
acquiring
nothing,
old
man.
property 1 kilometer away from the prison. Next, they buy an old warehouse nearby. Here they store weapons in an armored pickup truck. Then they hire workers for one very specific job, digging a sophisticated tunnel. Back in 1993, after the shootout at Guadalajara Airport, the Mexican government placed a bounty on El Chapo. It took just 2 weeks until he was found and arrested. He denies being responsible for the death of the cardinal. He insists that he was the supposed target of the shootout. Ultimately, the authorities believe him. They don't charge him for homicide, just for drug trafficking. He is sentenced to 20 years in a Mexican prison, but he continues to run the Sinaloa cartel from behind bars. Through his lawyers, he passes orders to his closest allies. He doesn't need to be in the room to pull strings. His empire runs on whispered instructions and tightly coordinated moves. Sometimes real power is remote. With AnyDesk, you can access any desktop from anywhere. It works with all the
That was smooth. That was
top-notch
smooth.
performance in your huge desktop with you.
That was
It often
smooth.
feels like we're sitting remotely, with no lag, no limit. Your empire running from away, across half of life in prison.
That was smooth.
In
Smooth way to
2001,
put
El
it.
Chapo has enough of life in prison. Also, the Mexican Supreme Court just approved a law that makes it easier to extradite criminals like him to the US. Time to get out. The official version of his first prison escape is spectacular. He supposedly bribes a guard who helps him climb into a laundry cart. The guard then pushes the cart out of the cell, down the hallways, and through an unguarded gate to the parking lot. El Chapo jumps out and climbs into the trunk of a car. The guard gets in and drives to the outer prison gate. After a quick search, the car is waved through. Nobody checks the trunk. But again, that's just the official story. Several authors and journalists don't buy it. One argues that the prison's checkpoints were equipped with heat and motion sensors, capable of detecting any living creature, even a cat. That means the alarms would have gone off. Instead, the journalists suggest that El Chapo may have left the prison dressed in a police uniform, escorted by other corrupt officers.
I mean, regardless, they'll need to up your security because, like, for one, like nobody should be able to get convinced this easily. Too. You know, he did escape, so it doesn't matter how he did it. All you need to know, he's escaped. So
One way or another, systemic corruption
you can worry about how he did after you get him.
likely played a role, and El Chapo put his newly won freedom to use. In the following years, the Mexican cartel landscape changes dramatically. In 2002, the leader of the Tijuana cartel is killed in a shootout with police. One of the brothers who had supposedly tried to assassinate El Chapo at the airport. A year later, the leader of the Gulf cartel was arrested. 2 major cartels are now without leadership. El Chapo sees an opportunity. He pushes into Tijuana and Gulf territory, triggering brutal fighting. Nuevo Laredo, an area along the US-Mexican border, practically turns into a war zone. Former forces of the Mexican army begin working for El Chapo. They clash with what's left of the Gulf cartel, whose core fighters were partly trained by the US. Early on, the violence results in more than 1,000 deaths, many of them civilians. And that's only the beginning. In 2006, Felipe Calderon becomes Mexico's new president. Determined to crack down on organized crime, he declares war on the cartels and deploys the military. The violence escalates dramatically. Between 2007 and 2014, over 160,000 people died in the course of the war on drugs in Mexico. In these years of bloodshed, El Chapo rises. He becomes the world's most wanted criminal, transforming the Sinaloa cartel into one of the most powerful criminal organizations in history. It becomes the top supplier of drugs to the United States: cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, and fentanyl. El Chapo's cartel operates in 50 countries and generates billions of dollars in profits each year. In turn, El Chapo becomes extremely wealthy, eventually making Forbes' list of the world's billionaires. No wonder it's hard to keep him
He's
locked up.
53.
El Chapo's rescue commando needs to know the exact location of his prison cell, so they smuggle a GPS watch into his prison cell, disguised as a food item. Now the workers know in what direction they need to dig. Over the span of a year, they dig a sophisticated tunnel, a carefully planned complex construction costing approximately $5 million to make. The tunnel is 1.5 kilometers long and 1.70 meters high. It is reinforced by a wooden frame. There are lights and even a ventilation system. Digging a tunnel creates a lot of dirt, so the workers build a rail system with a motorcycle adapted to it to move the dirt out of the tunnel. The construction is also supposed to function as an escape vehicle later on. But how did El Chapo end up in El Altiplano in the first place? Andrew Hogan is an agent with the Drug Enforcement Agency. He wants to take down the most powerful drug lord on Earth, perhaps in history. Currently, he's looking for allies, but he soon discovers somehow there is no task force, no team, not even a single federal agent assigned to the job of bringing El Chapo to justice. So he takes a Spanish class and prepares to move to Mexico. Meanwhile, one of Andrew's colleagues in the US manages to get the pin to El Chapo's BlackBerry, thanks to someone in his inner circle. He tracks down his phone to the holiday resort Cabo San Lucas. The colleague immediately calls Andrew. They're excited, and so they pass the information to the officials in Mexico. The DEA and Mexican police quickly head down to the place where El Chapo is supposedly hiding, but he's nowhere to be found. Next, they narrow down El Chapo's phone signal to one of 3 mansions near the resort Cabo San Lucas. This time, it's a hit. He's there. But before the forces arrive, El Chapo just escapes through the back door. Somehow he makes it to an airstrip without being caught and is flown to safety.
That's wow. Wait, so why didn't the cops get a helicopter? Like I don't understand that. Why the cops didn't get the helicopter, and cops do have helicopters. I don't understand why they didn't have one. I mean, before they arrived, so they didn't know he was in there. So maybe that's why. But he escaped from prison. So I would think that common sense would tell you, like, okay, if he can escape from prison, he can pull out anything to escape from this situation.
El Chapo always seems to be one step ahead. He constantly changes his SIM cards and phones, and simply outsmarts.
Yes. All they did was take pictures. They came upstairs. They took pictures up here in the living room. They opened the blinds. I guess they were checking if they were working. Hold on. All they did was came out there. They asked us if it was okay. There was 2 girls. They asked if it was okay for me to take pictures. They took pictures of bathroom down here. And they come out of the room. They opened the blinds. I guess they were taking the working out. Then they asked if they could go upstairs. Then I went upstairs and I seen there. Took pictures up there as well. Probably checked your blinds. Why did you just go with the key? You don't know the fucking key. Alright, y'all. We're just gonna y'all can just skip past that part.
The authority.
I'll admit he is smart with it though. But like it's a cop, dog. Like y'all just like you would like okay, I can understand the first time, and then after he escapes from jail, like wouldn't you become prepared for anything? I mean, I think that would make sense to me. But that's just me though.
Authorities. One DEA agent supposedly said the Mexicans couldn't catch El Chapo if he was standing at the fucking Starbucks across the street from the embassy. But Andrew Hogan doesn't give up. In May 2012, he moves to Mexico City with his family and takes over the Sinaloa case. In the months that follow, he and his team begin intercepting members of El Chapo's inner circle. Bit by bit, they uncover the cartel's complex communication system, how often numbers are changed, possible code names, and GPS locations. Slowly, a picture begins to emerge.
Great news! Now
A picture
your account
begins
has a
to
level,
emerge.
and you get free daily cases for it.
One day, El Chapo seemingly wants to meet an underling in person, and he sends one of his chauffeurs to pick him up. Hogan tracks his phone. The chauffeur finally arrives at a place in Culiacan. The signal leads to a group of 5 houses. Hogan organizes a capture operation with dozens of Mexican Marines.
See, there you go.
And trucks. And he joins the mission
There you
himself.
go.
They surround the property and storm inside.
Why
But
didn't
once
they
again,
do
El
this the
Chapo is
first time?
gone. Instead, they find a strangely placed bathtub covering the entrance to a tunnel that leads into the sewers of Culiacan. But this time, the
Wow.
Marines managed to stay on El Chapo's tail. 3 days later, they find out that one of his men had driven him to the coastal town of Mazatlan, to a hotel. The Marines enter the 4th floor of the hotel. They storm into room 401, heading straight for the bedroom. El Chapo is with his family. He barricades himself in the bathroom with an assault rifle. His wife pleads with the soldiers not to harm their daughters. Shortly after El Chapo surrenders, they got him.
So it's this thing that I got.
Andrew Hogan's job is done now. He caught the most wanted man on the planet, and he worries for the safety of his family, who moved to Mexico with him. So they board a plane back to the US. Meanwhile, El Chapo goes to Altiplano. The US is pushing hard for his extradition. This would likely be his doom, the end of his reign. Time for another tunnel.
Another escape. There's no way he's
The
still
rescue team
fresh.
and the workers managed to locate the exact spot of El Chapo's cell shower.
By the way, guys, I know what you're thinking. Like, well, you're on the side of the cops. I mean, I'm necessarily on the side of neither or, because I could really care less, honestly. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, common sense. You know.
They build a 10-meter vertical passageway that connects the tunnels to the cell, including a ladder. All this digging and drilling creates a lot of noise. Several inmates are complaining, but the guards ignore them. El Chapo's rescue team manages to complete the 5 million tunnel directly into his prison cell, without anyone interfering. All that's left is breaking through the cell floor, and thus comes the day. El Chapo sits on his bed. A surveillance camera monitors him closely. The camera also records audio. You can hear television, the volume is turned up. But you also hear loud banging noises. Probably someone is breaking through the cell floor. Next, El Chapo begins to pace up and down in his cell. After some time, he walks to his shower stall, bends over, and goes back to his bed. He removes his shoes, sits for a second. Then he walks behind the shower wall and simply disappears. He squeezes through the hole in the
That's
ground.
wild.
It's just 50 by 50 centimeters wide. 1 meter below, he finds footing on a ladder. He climbs down 10 meters into the ground until he reaches the tunnel. Someone is already waiting for him, likely his wife's brother. The rescuer sits on the motorcycle on rails. El Chapo climbs on behind him. Together they make the 1.5 kilometer ride to the other end of the tunnel. When they arrive, El Chapo and his companion climb up a small ladder through the exit shaft. They end up in an unfinished house, covered with construction material. An ATV is parked outside. They drive a short distance to a warehouse and switch to an SUV. Then they drive for 2 hours, until they arrive at an airstrip. A plane is already waiting. They board it and fly to Sinaloa.
Wow.
2 months later, one of El Chapo's sons posts a tweet. "I'm doing fine here. You already know with whom." Attached is a photo, presumably with his father. The tweet is tagged with a location, Costa Rica.
Why did he post that?
Let's back up for a second.
Dang,
Things
twin.
about the spectacular escape just don't add up. There's video footage of guards watching their screens as El Chapo disappears, yet it takes them 20 minutes to check his cell. They even wait a few more minutes before they finally enter and check the escape hole. Also, it seems unlikely that building such a tunnel truly went unnoticed, after all inmates actively complained about the drilling noise. A large majority of Mexicans believe the escape was an inside job. Shortly after El Chapo's second prison escape, the prison's warden and 2 other officials were fired.
I mean, it would make sense for for that to be an inside job, honestly. Drilling, come on, man, and then y'all are steady watching it. So wouldn't it be more so likely that, like, okay, so I see Twin walking towards that, and like, when you be on the way, like, almost immediately? I would think so, but it would definitely was an inside job. But that kind of goes to how he was really able to convince these people. More than likely, it was probably with like a free supply of drugs or a discount, something like that. And that's the thing that I go back to, like how sin really rules. Sin really just be messing up everything. Like all because they probably want to get high that night or a couple nights after, and most like they know who he is and they know what he can give them. So
Next, 4 Mexican officials were charged. 2 were members of Mexico's Secret Service, based at the prison. The other 2 were guards who sat in the control room, monitoring El Chapo's cell. The accusation is that they bought El Chapo valuable time by not raising the alarm once the drug lord was gone. And El Chapo, he again becomes one of the most wanted criminals on Earth. The pressure to finally bring him to justice is higher than ever. The hunt is on. Then El Chapo makes a crazy move. He knows he's considered a legend in Mexico, and he wants even more fame. A movie about his life on the big screen. Sean Penn is already involved in a production about him, along with Mexican actress Kate Del Castillo. Castillo manages to contact El Chapo and his associates. Finally, El Chapo agrees to meet her and Sean Penn in person to talk about the movie. Well, technically, he's on the run.
smart.
This is a photo of the meetup. Sean Penn interviews El Chapo about his career as a drug lord, a story later published by the Rolling Stone. In it, Penn reveals that El Chapo's escape tunnel engineers have been flown to Germany for 3 months of extensive additional training necessary to deal with the low-lying water table beneath the prison. It's a gripping read. Beneath his smile, there's a doubtlessness to his facial expression. A question comes to mind as I observe his face, both as he speaks as while he listens. What is it that removes all doubt from a man's eyes? Is it power, admirable clarity, or soullessness? But according to government sources, the interview is also a crucial factor for investigators to get closer to El Chapo. Apparently all the while, they're monitoring Penn and Castillo's movements very closely. It's October 9th,
Like
2015. Mexican Special Forces.
so in under a year he has escaped jail twice.
What do you typically offer for this role?
It's competitive.
Wild work.
And if it was a number, it would be...
A competitive.
So like say if you escape like and then you just like I don't know, they can't catch probably about a year or two. They just give up? Or they keep going?
Forces are closing in on him in the mountains of Sinaloa. After a while, they actually spot him. He's only got 1 bodyguard with him. This is their moment. They take off after them, chasing them through the terrain. As they get nearer, El Chapo falls off a cliff. His bodyguard finds him and carries him to the depths of the forest. The special forces lose sight of them and they escape. A catastrophic failure. But the authorities don't give up the hunt. In January 2016, they get another chance. The Marines manage to locate El Chapo once again in the coastal city of Los Mochis. The clue comes from a taco order placed from a white van. Witnesses say the driver is one of El Chapo's men. The Marines begin to surveil the car. It ultimately leads them to a safe house. A few hours later, the soldiers storm the place. Cartel gunmen try to hold them off. A gunfight breaks out. The Marines eventually push up to the 2nd floor, then the roof. But El Chapo is gone. True to his form, he and one of his gunmen fled through a hidden tunnel.
I was trying to see what it said in the
They climb out of
left
a drainage
corner.
tunnel a short distance away, right across from a Walmart. El Chapo and his gunmen need to escape quickly. They steal a car, guns drawn, but after just driving a few blocks, the car breaks down. So they ditch it and lose valuable time. Then they take over another car and manage to get on the highway, but it's too late. Police finally arrest El Chapo, one of history's most powerful drug lords. He tells the officers, "You are all going to die." 40 of his assassins are supposedly on their way to free him, but he gets handed over to the Marines, and it's over. After a decade of hide and seek, escaping over and over again, in all likelihood protected by systemic corruption, El Chapo has finally been caught. Later that day, the Mexican president tweets, "Mission accomplished. We have him." Soon after, El Chapo was extradited to the United States, the one thing he truly feared. On July 17, 2019, 3 years after his second escape, he was sentenced to life in Colorado's Supermax prison. That's where he remains locked up to this day. The Sinaloa cartel and other Mexican cartels
He's still
are strong
locked
as
up?
ever, operating as
I mean, I know he has life, but like, oof. He was like 53 when all that went down, so.
organizations. There's so much more to the story that we couldn't cover in this video. But apparently, some video journalist obsessed with maps is about to pick it up very soon.
Oh, hi Fern. Love your stuff.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I just hope all y'all go to Jesus. Like, I really want to see all y'all in heaven, honestly, man. At the end of the day, this is not a game. Like, Jesus is real, God is real, like, heaven is real. This stuff is real, twin. You know what I'm saying? And, I hope y'all guys like this kind of content. If not, we could always switch it up. Let me know if y'all like this by subscribing, liking, and commenting on the video. And thank you for watching. And until next time.